Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You are watching Big Picture with me, Vishal Dahiya, and today we will talk about the police commissionerate system. Now, the UP government has approved the commissionerate system of policing state capital Lucknow and Noida. This system gives more responsibilities, including magisterial powers, to IPS officers of the rank of Inspector General of Police who are posted as commissioners. Many states have adopted this commissionerate system at the metropolitan level to facilitate faster decision-making in solving complex urban-centric issues. According to a BPRD report, 61 cities in 15 states had this system in place by January 2018. Now, the 6th National Police Commission report, released in 1983, had recommended introduction of commissionerate system in cities with a population of 5 lakh and above. Later in 2005, a draft Model Police Act framed by a committee set up by the Union Home Ministry also made a similar recommendation, saying metro cities and major urban areas with a population of 10 lakh or more should have a police commissioner system. For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me first introduce the guests to you, beginning with Mr. Anil Chaudhary, former Secretary, Internal Security, Ministry of Home Affairs. We also have with us Mr. Ajay Dua, former Secretary, Government of India, and a former IAS officer, senior one. We also have with us Mr. Prakash Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, somebody who has written a lot and worked a lot on the police reforms in the entire police force structure. Let me begin with you, Mr. Singh, and let's try and understand the entire concept of commissionerate system in police force, how and why it is necessary and what are the benefits there.
The commissionerate system is considered the most authoritative system of policing, not only in other progressive countries, but in other states of the country also. And it is considered essential in metropolitan towns which have a heavy population. The National Police Commission said that the commissionerate system should be there in all cities and urban centers with a population of more than 10 lakhs. Subsequently, in my representations before the Supreme Court at different stages, I said that considering the huge increase in population, it may be introduced at least in cities and urban centers which have a population of more than 2 million. Even that would be sufficient.
Okay.
Now, you see, these big cities, they are throwing up law and order problems almost every day. If not every day, definitely every week. And all kinds of problems. There may be student demonstrations, there may be labor problems, there may be communal problem, there may be caste problem, there may be agitation over a law passed by the government, or there may be regional tension. I mean, all kinds of problems are, law and order problems are thrown up in metropolitan towns. Now, these problems require very, very specialized handling and handling by an integrated machinery. Presently, it is, the responsibility is divided between the magistracy and the police. The assessment of the situation is done by the magistracy. How serious the situation is, whether prohibitory orders need to be promulgated or not. And then the executive action is taken by the police. Now, in the process of taking action also, magistrates and police officers are supposed to work in tandem, shoulder to shoulder, and they are supposed to be in good coordination at every stage.
Okay.
In daily lives, we have seen that there is always problem in coordination. Even when the coordination is good, it is not perfect. And at some stage or the other, there's a difference of opinion about the number of people to be deployed, about the force to be used, about the presence of the magistrate. All kinds of problems are there. Sometimes the police will say that the magistrate was not present. Sometimes the magistrate will say that the police did not turn up. Okay. All kinds of problems come up, and these problems contribute to whatever failures or shortcomings are noticed in the handling of the situation. In a commissionerate system, the executive magistrate's powers are vested in the commissioner of police and his subordinate officers, and they don't have to depend on a magistrate to handle a particular situation. They are solely and exclusively responsible.
Okay.
There's no hierarchy. There's no division of authority. There's no duality in administration. You have one integrated setup which is responsible for maintaining law and order. So, it is felt that for dealing with such situations, we should have an integrated command, and that is what the Commissioner of Police represents. And that's why it is considered a better system of policing, particularly in metro towns and especially in handling law and order situation.
Okay. So
Besides,
integration of
apart from law and
command
order
and
situations, when
you know
have
if you look
a
at
more
Mr. Singh, I'd like to bring in Mr. Chaudhary here. If we go by what Prakash Singh is saying, former DGP Uttar Pradesh, then it looks like the main objective is to ensure that there is a integration as far as the command structure is concerned. There is a better coordination in terms of law and order issues. So do we consider that the commissionerate system, there are very less chances of the failure on part of the police service when it comes to ensuring law and order or other aspects?
Vishal, I'm entirely in agreement with what Shri Prakash Singh has stated before me. The unity of command and control is essential to meet with the multifarious and complicated and very specialized law and order handling of situations in big cities. Division of responsibility with powers, it leads to problems. And this has been, let me take you back to history. We have inherited a police system from the colonial era of the British, who believed in divide and rule. So 1861 was the Police Act under which the policing in this country. But over the years, it was felt necessary. The first police commissioner in India was, if I'm not mistaken, in Calcutta before the Act in 1856. Then came of presidency towns, Madras, Bombay, then I think Bangalore. Delhi police commissioner system was introduced by the then Janata Party in 1977 by Chaudhry Charan Singh, who was the Home Minister, 1977. He felt the need that Delhi, being the capital, needs a very tight grip over the law and order situation. We cannot divide between the magistrates. So they brought it in. Unfortunately, my state, UP, was the last to get on board. In UP, in the early 80s, a police commissioner was appointed for Kanpur with other cabal towns to follow. It did not happen.
But that didn't materialize.
It did not happen. It's materialized finally. It's a step in the right direction. I hope it will work well. Noida is now contiguous with Delhi. So the Delhi police commissioner and the Noida police commissioner will be able to understand each other's language much better, professionals that they are. People with proven record of handling law and order situations would be made police commissioners, and then you see down the line there's a deputy commissioner crime, there's a deputy commissioner law and order, and like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the views as far as the former police officer are concerned. Let's look at the other side of the story as well, because almost, if I'm not wrong, at least 10 in 10 acts, the power will be transferred from the district magistrate to the police commissioner here. Mr. Ajay Dua, you've been there, done that. According to you, is it a proven system, or is this something in which the pros are much better in terms of ensuring that the policing or the law and order management is done more accurately?
This is one subject where I tend to agree with both my esteemed colleagues. Though I might have been a district magistrate but 40 odd years ago and seen how the system has evolved. I come from a state called Maharashtra. There we had tried out the police commissioner system in the city of Mumbai successfully by the time I even reached the state in the year 1972. We had proven success, established the success of handling the complex issues of a city like Mumbai.
Okay.
Now in Maharashtra, we have the largest number of police commissioners in as many as 10 cities, including cities like, Sholapur, etc. And not even that, Commissioner Railways. It's no longer IG Railways, it's called, the 10th one is Commissioner Railways, 9 of them otherwise. I would just mention to my colleague, Mr. Chaudhary, have a heart. UP is not quite the last. Now with UP coming in, now we have exactly 15 states in the country, 63 cities. There were 61 till yesterday, 2 added of UP, and 14 states, now 15. There are 15 more to go. We don't have this police commissioner state, surprisingly, in the whole of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, Orissa, whole of Northeast, except Dimapur in Nagaland and Guwahati in Assam, and the northern states, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Ladakh, etc. So there are 15 states which we have yet to go. I think this is something which both casts a higher responsibility upon the police officers who will now be exercising magisterial roles as well, because earlier it could easily be said, I only executed a decision which was taken elsewhere. Now, before, as I said, greater responsibility, greater powers also brings about greater responsibility. If the police commissioner is the district magistrate for that city, his deputy commissioners of police or joint commissioners of police will exercise the subdivisional magistrate's powers. The fact that now they would be taking the calls on not just under 10 acts, there are 15 central and state government acts which today said there is duality of order. The police will seek orders of the district magistrate or the other, or under his delegated powers from the SDMs. Now they would have to exercise benefits of promptness, benefits of being able to handle complex issues far better, and there being clear integration of command where powers went vest in one person will bring along with it greater sense of responsibility. I am sure that so far it may have been mixed in certain states or certain cities where been introduced, but by and large the institution of commissioner has stood the test of time. UP state has taken 50 odd years to bring it in from the time when they could. 1977 Dharamvira Commission on National Commission on Police recommendations. It recommended it. Thereafter the Home Ministry, after considering the report and other inputs, recommended it. But there is today also, for instance, in the city of Lucknow, what's been done is rural Lucknow, part of the greater Lucknow, that will continue to be under SP Rural.
SP Rural.
The 10 police stations of Lucknow city have been put under the police commissioner. Certain legacy issues will have to be handled, and there would also be need for integration between the rural police, the SP person. SP is head of a rural area, may have as much population but dispersed. Here it is going to be an additional DGP, or in certain states like Bangalore with Karnataka, Hyderabad, they put a DG rank person. So there would be now police commissioners directly reporting to the DG. There would be police commissioners who still will, in the scheme of things, work as police commissioners, but above them there would still be the ranged IG or a ranged person higher rank than them, because he has a jurisdictional. So there will be coordination issues still, there will be issues of delegation of authority, etc. But I wish the system well.
So the coordination issues and all are, the ones which can be settled with the passage of time and as and when things arise. But one aspect, Mr. Dua, and I'd like to start with you again on this aspect of this particular topic, is the point where you said that more power will bring more responsibility over the officers who will work as commissioners, police commissioners in these places, or have been working. Now, one criticism is in this aspect only, because the police force have a number of times been criticized as far as their actions are concerned.
Yes, so I would, not that they are not already trained. After all, we all go through a common foundations training course where we are exposed to the similar degrees, similar disciplines of law, etc., be it the IAS officers or the police, and then each one of us goes on to our own lines. I think the one greater familiarity with the laws is less said. It is the inevitable must. SDMs will also have to know what powers now they are inheriting, which were today cast on somebody else. But at the same time, that there would not be an opportunity to pass on the responsibility to somebody else. There is no diarchy, as you very correctly use the word. The guy who takes the call will also have to, who bells the cat will also have to answer for it.
And take the responsibility.
Take the responsibility. So that by itself sometimes could itself bring greater responsibility, saying, look, I can't pass the buck on to someone else, which is natural. It's a human. But at the same time, it may call upon a degree of restraint, which today some people in the uniform services have not necessarily demonstrated.
Okay, that brings me to Mr. Singh on the responsibility, the greater responsibility aspect, Mr. Singh, because that itself will become really, really important with the police commissioners, the officers there holding the power, much more power than they used to have earlier. That will bring in the responsibility of carrying that power as well.
Well, I'm sure police will rise to the occasion. Initially, there might be some problems of adjustment, understanding, and how to function as executive magistrate. Although teething problems will be there. I remember there were teething problems even in Delhi when commissionerate system was introduced. Whenever there was a crisis or whenever there were questions about the performance of the police in a given situation, there was always a lobby saying that no, the system is not working well, and we should go back to the old system of district magistrate and IG or whatever it was then. So the teething problems will be there, and I know there will be situations where commissionerate system will be questioned, its legitimacy, its desirability, and they will say no, police can't be trusted with the powers of magistrate. I mean, those problems will arise in course of time, but I think in course of time, as police working stabilizes, they become more mature and they understand the commissionerate system, and they exercise their responsibilities in a dignified and correct manner as per the law of the land. The system will stabilize, it will take roots, and people will develop confidence in the system. And I think apart from being able to handle law and order problems, when you have a more efficient police on the ground, and I'm sure it will lead to better detection of crime also, and a lot of problems which we are witnessing today, I mean, crimes against women causing so much of uproar in different sections. I suppose that will also subside, but it's going to be a long haul. It won't happen overnight, and people will have to be patient with the commissionerate system, at least for the first 1 or 2 years, so that police gets time to settle down and adjust to the new style of functioning with the new powers entrusted to them.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, that brings the police force under much, stricter scrutiny now that there will be more powers. So the officers will have to be more responsible in terms of their actions.
Vishal, if you are talking in terms of powers and authority, let me put it quite straight that they will not be unfettered, they will not be unbridled. They have the courts to answer to. The criminal justice system comprises the criminal courts. They are answerable to the courts. And then political leadership. There's the Home Minister who's watching over them. In some states, the police commissioner reports to the DGP. In some others, he does not. In Mumbai, to the best of my knowledge and belief, he does not report to the DG police. He reports to the Home Minister or whatever. Now, you see, the point is the complexity of law and order situation calls for decisive, quick action on the ground. And so if there's one man who's going to be made responsible, he will be, of course, conscious of what he is doing, and he will have to own responsibility. He cannot then say, the magistrate said this and I said this. So it's a good thing, but like Mr. Prakash Singh said, it's going to take a while for the system to sink in, and there would be some teething problem. But the selection of the police commissioner, according to me, is very critical. He is the person who should have handled a variety of law and order problems. Communal, student unrest, lawyers unrest, and what have you not. So, you see, and then the people, trust begets trust. If you mistrust an officer, you will not get the best out of him. If you trust an officer, give him responsibility and give him the power, he shall deliver. And maintaining public order and peace is a primary responsibility of the state.
Okay.
It is very fragile, as we know, situation all over the country. We read reports about everywhere, law and order here, this, that, and all that. So there's a time for it, right time. I hope things will improve in Lucknow and also in our neighborhood in Noida, in Delhi.
Okay, but as of now, it looks like, it's an urban-centric phenomena, because every time we look at how many cities are there, how many metropolitan cities have commissionerate system, 2 more joining it. So you think that with time, this will move on to the other parts of the country or the states as well, the rural areas, or not so?
No, let me tell you, cities attract population from rural areas for employment, seeking employment.
But then there are several rural areas which have quite a
let
larger
me
population,
tell
like
you
Lucknow
about
rural we're talking about.
Delhi. It is such a complex population ratio. We have from Bihar, from UP, from Punjab, from everywhere. So it requires, you see, and cities are the focal. By and large, in the rural areas, in the villages, law and order is not such a major issue as of today. According to me, the cities and the big towns and cities, they are the ones which witness this, this happened and that happened and the police arrived late and this, that, all that. So I think it's a good thing. Major cities, big cities must have it. Smaller towns, not necessary.
Okay, Mr. Dua, concluding comments from you. In terms of this being an urban-centric phenomena, because there are complex problems, complex issues, which require a specific set of, ways to go ahead and deal with those issues.
This is, as of now, going to be confined because we have many more cities yet to cover. We've taken a threshold limit. Only beyond that we are trying to cover, and in 15 states we may have even cities of 1 million plus, yet they have to be brought under though the Police Act is available for them also to implement. Having said that, I like to, Vishal, just point out one thing while you're concluding the program. I think now the system can be both used to advantage by the powers that be as well as exploited. Earlier, a nefarious person with a nefarious objective, I'm not just referring to politicians, even underworld people who commit crimes and man in the street, could take advantage of the fact that there are two persons who are involved in this decision making.
Okay.
So now, since one person is vested in it, he could easily handle the person who has the powers could check that. But at the same time, if that person is amenable to political influence, he is amenable to external influences of the people of the kind which we mentioned, then there is a greater chance of vested interests making greater use of it to their advantage than to the society. So it boils down ultimately to the person in whom you are vesting, and I totally agree with Anil on the subject, that the choice of a person who is to be given both the powers is going to be important. Somebody who's acquitted himself well in doing the work in the non-police commissioner areas initially, but who also has a wider knowledge of handling crime, investigation, and has the capacity to exercise both restraint as well as increased power, is the kind of person who will do well here.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Mr. Dua, Mr. Chaudhary, and Mr. Singh for your views here on Rajya Sabha Television. So as our experts are pointing out very clearly, the positive advantages as far as the commissionerate system in police force is concerned. Not only an integrated way of dealing with the law and order issues in the urban-centric places and the complex problems which arise there, but also ensuring that there is a unified command. And this gives not only more powers to the police force and the officers, but also added responsibility to ensure that those powers are handled in a very responsible manner. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.